Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. Oh my goodness, my hair. What is going on with it? Are we just gonna roll? We're just gonna roll. Okay. Um, oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. Let's get Instagram on. I promise YouTube, I'm gonna be better about checking um, this screen. It doesn't always make it easy to do. YouTube is perfecting their live dashboard. So we're waiting for that time. It'll be joyous. Uh, so yeah, let's get. Hello, hello, welcome, Clutter Free family, to the Clarity Hotline on this beautiful Thursday morning or afternoon. At this point, it's 12 barely at my time. My time is noon, and um, what's the time for you guys? Where are you tuning in from? It's different times, I'm sure, everywhere. And Hawaii's behind me, which means it's still morning time for you in Hawaii if you're tuning in from Hawaii. Okay, so we have so much to talk about today. So excited for this hotline. We've got a few questions that are new, that are very interesting, but I think I kind of want to focus in on one in particular because it's just so meaty, so juicy, and I think there's going to be a lot to talk about. I always have high hopes for these calls that we're going to be able to get a lot of questions in, and then I just end up just riffing on anything and everything I could think of, including my motherhood journey always somehow finds a way in, a thread into the content. But anyway, let's lead in with just grounding, doing our grounding breath, breathing in and breathing out, in and out, and all in an effort to be here now. So take your breath in for a count of 4, and then exhale for a count of 6. You could do your own count. As soon as you're ready to be here, do that. Consciously think that, and then join us. Just flow right into it, the conversation. Because actually, you know what? I think this would really, the question that we're going to answer today is from Paulina. What is the secret to financial freedom? And she goes on and writes about how she's struggling to pay bills. And there's something missing that she's missing with, why it's kind of this cycle of just barely paying her bills, right? Just kind of living to pay her bills. And I call it the rat race. It feels like a hamster wheel, right? We all heard that terminology, and we understand what that means, what it feels like to kind of just be running on this hamster wheel. Like, where are we going? What are we getting to? Is this life? Is this it? But I love this question. What is the secret to financial freedom? Because I think there is one. And thankfully, this came in with enough time for me to kind of just have some downloads along the way, along the days. And now I feel ready to talk about it. So as we're breathing and we're grounding and we're centering and coming into the space together, I think I want to have you close your eyes. If you're not able to close your eyes, come back to this, bookmark it, whatever, so that you can come back to it and do this particular exercise, because I want you to close your eyes and really envision what it feels like to be free. I mean, really envision what it feels like to be free. I don't think people really are doing the work to understand what it means. And so I'll kind of say, Paulina, as far as financial freedom, the word free is in there, and that's why I'm doing this. So we're gonna bring it all back to your question, but what does it mean to be free? Honestly, I think that is a worthwhile question when you want to be financially free, right? To know what it means to be free for you. It's going to look different for everyone, truly, honestly. It's going to look different for everybody because everybody's got different, I don't know, just different life, ingredients of life. And what they've made their particular life story so far is all in an effort to create this rich, abundant life. Everything that you've done has been in an effort striving toward, I believe, some level of freedom, financial freedom, relationship freedom in relationship, freedom in love, freedom in purpose and joy, right? Freedom just to be absolutely, utterly free from the restraints, free from the constraints, free from the doubt and the burnout. And I'm on a roll with these rhymes. Free from the things that are holding you back, beliefs, habits, company, energy, right? Energy leaks. Uh, and company meaning the people that surround you, the people you hold close. And you are within their sphere of influence, which means when they say something, it impacts you. It matters to you what their opinion is, what you think, or what they think, rather. It matters to you that you have their buy-in in some regard, in some aspect of your life and the way you're living your life. In some aspect, you want their buy-in on the way that you're living your life because you want them as witness, you want them as cheerleaders, you want them as partners, you want them as soulmates on this life, right? And so this is all kind of factoring into how we've made our decisions thus far. And as you're closing your eyes and you're thinking about what it feels like to be free, what it feels and looks like to be free, also kind of look back, have it feel like a little bit as a retrospective where everything, if you were to say this in your mind's eye, say this to yourself and see what happens as a result. If you were to say to yourself, everything that's happened so far was for a reason, and here I am, here I stand, still able and capable to make the most of my life. What happens? What happens to you physiologically on a cellular level? What happens to your nervous system, to your breathing, to your belief, to your heart, to the conviction in your gut? What happens to that? Do you feel connected to that statement, that idea that everything that happened so far in your life brought you here for a reason, and you sit and stand wherever you are, fully capable of making the most of your life, fully capable of doing what it takes to make your life rich and abundant in every single way you can possibly think of, absolutely financially free, if we're talking about that. And as you're closing your eyes, what do you see? I really want to know, is it a yes, absolutely, I could see that. I could see how it lined up that my parents were the way they were. I see it that I went to the schools I went to, met the people I met, started a business with this person, got married to this person. And, whether or not you're even in those businesses or with those people, like, it was for a reason, right? It kind of routed your path, and that felt purposeful. And all the while you felt connected to your highest self. If at any point you didn't, and you're starting to see like, oh, I see where I wavered away from believing in my higher self or believing in myself, that I had what it takes to be right there at that level, maybe you see like a little detour that you took, and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. Then there's regret, right? But even that, can you still stand to see, well, why did that even work? Why was that okay? How can I choose to look at that without any regret? Is it possible that this all, even that, right? The yucky stuff, the ugly stuff was to get you here right now. When we think about Paulina's question, what is the secret to financial freedom? If you're still closing your eyes and you look back at your life timeline, you see all the big milestones, all the big moments, the big moments, right? That just impact your soul, and you look back longingly and lovingly and fondly, and you're thinking, I was so good. I was so happy. That was so good. And sometimes we kind of like look back and you're like, oh, I wish I was there again. I want to be back there. I wish I was that person again. Because, whatever happened, I'm this way now. Well, you're still that person, right? It's just you've adjusted along the way to make room and make space and make accommodating this new life that you've started to move into. For instance, let's take my example, or me as an example. So I was a digital nomad for so long, and I loved it. love it, still want it in some way, shape, or form. But I have a family, and I can't live like that, or I don't, or I don't right now. I don't know. I don't want to even say I can't live like that. I think that there are benefits, pros and cons to, bringing my boys anywhere and everywhere. But then there still has to be kind of this home base, I believe. And then, at one point, are they going to be irritated by them moving around and living in a backpack, right? I just don't know. That's how I lived. I was very couch surfer, hostel hopping, just meeting people and going on a whim somewhere new, taking a bus for 8 hours somewhere new, and absolutely loving it. And it really, I believe, because I think back to that girl who's still in me, every inch of me, she's still here. And that still excites me, that idea of traveling around just on a whim. But I recognize that with my baggage, especially my boys, like, I've got their livelihood and their well-being to consider too. And I like a home base. And so that's kind of how it evolves. And then you kind of start to see, here's where I want to take this. You can open your eyes. So hopefully you captured an image or a feeling of what it means to be free, because we're going to tap in on that today. And just make sure I'm not missing any comments. Okay. And I put together a little bit of a rundown of things for Paulina's really deep question. Let me bring it back up again. What is a secret to financial freedom? And maybe you feel like you're in the same boat as her. She's struggling to pay bills, living paycheck to paycheck. And it's not an existence that feels abundant, right? If that's the way that you feel you're struggling to even pay bills, struggling to get out from under the pressure of having to pay out money instead of like having enough to spend disposable money to just do with whatever you want. And I believe that's the switch, right? That's the freedom part that's missing. And that's why it was important to take the time to look at, well, what does it mean to be free? What does it feel like to be free? Because that's going to be your gauge, your compass. Like if the alignment of the feeling isn't there, there's a disconnect in your heart and your head, and your head wants one thing, your heart wants another, or the opportunity is like, oh yeah, nice, and seems really cool to do that, but it doesn't necessarily align with priorities, goals, values, lifestyle, where you are right now, then is there kind of like a forcing of that opportunity to fit into your life? Let's talk more about forcing something to fit into your life, because I would say, I think there's some interpreters of Wallace Wattles' work to say that, no, take every opportunity. If there's money there, there's opportunity there. But I really do believe that the compass is the alignment of peace. That peace will tell you this at the end of the day, when you ground, center, calm at the end of the day, and you've gone from fear to excitement to fear, and back and forth and back again, like you're ping pong with this opportunity. And does it really, asking yourself, does it really fit in? You will know if it's a yes. You will know if it's a hell yes, even if it doesn't fit right now. Like, how am I going to make that work? And that's terrifying to think that I can fall flat on my face doing this thing because I don't have everything, the means to make this happen. Well, when you say yes to an opportunity that's still aligned, but maybe you don't really know how it's going to fit in, you're making room for how it will fit in, because you're putting the trust in source, God, the divine universe. You're putting your trust in source over the resource. The resource is just a cog in the wheel. It's just the ladder up to the helicopter. You've got to take the ladder up to the helicopter if you want to get inside, right? And that's a rescue helicopter. So it's getting you out from a hike, a trail that you really can't see your way out of because you are in a ton of brush and you don't even see where you're lost. That ladder is going to pull you out from the weeds, pull you out from the forest, and you're going to be able to see above that, get into the helicopter, have that perspective, and then it's going to show you the opportunities, right? It's kind of like that perspective, our higher power, our source has that perspective at all times to kind of look around, see what's going on down there, and like, oh yeah, well, if you only went that way, you would have found your way out. We don't see that. We're in the maze. We're in the matrix. So we don't really see our way out when we're in the thick of things. Now, when we are feeling like, oh, I'm just struggling to paycheck. Why am I blanking on how to say that? It's not words I use. If I'm feeling like I'm struggling to pay my bills and I'm living paycheck to paycheck, I am in the maze. I'm caught in the maze. And so you want to see that this ladder to this helicopter is absolutely aligned, because once you are above that, you're out of the brush and the muck and all that. You will be planted elsewhere to make room for that. And I do believe it does require us to get out from the weeds and look above it all. And I think that's where prayer comes in, right? And meditation and all the things that are mindfully based practices that bring you back to your mind, because your mind is an asset in when coming into financial freedom. It's the means to which you will get there. It's the tool that you have at the ready to make a way into financial freedom. And let me come back to my notes, because I really want to make sure I get this for you, because last week we had a question about how you break out of survival mode. And sometimes I think, did I even answer that? And so I want to make sure that I am answering this question and not going too far out there. But I think we'll even answer that question a little bit in this too, how to break out of survival mode, as we're answering what is the secret to financial freedom. Sometimes in order to get out from the maze that we're in, the mess that we're in, right? We've got to move up and out. And that requires a level of faith and trust that involves the entire body and brain, head and heart, mind and soul. And everybody's got to be involved and committed to this idea of seeing a way through. Because when you have that mental asset, as your ally, or really as your flashlight, then you will find the opportunities that line up with everything that you want to have. Because I think where you're losing the piece, where you're losing the compass, where you're losing the way through the flashlight, the means to see, is that you've disconnected from your vision. And what is vision but a mindset? It's you having the mental clarity to see that which you want. And I've talked about this. I think I'm on a series or something, because in the last few videos that have dropped on YouTube on Tuesdays, those videos have been very kind of manifesting oriented, because I do believe that is a missing piece. So thank you, Paulina. Really great. Thank you. Like, she's missing something. I believe that is the missing piece. And so I did kind of go down this manifesting I don't want to even say this path. I went down this path and put out videos around manifestation. So if you haven't caught them, catch up, because I think you'll enjoy them. And that is the missing piece, this mindset part. So if you want to have financial freedom, immediately the solution is for you to get out of even that level of thought, that low vibration of thought, of thinking, of habits, of behavior. And when all those things start to take on an energy of elevation out of the victim mindset, out of that victim scarcity mindset, like everything's happening to me is weighing me down, I don't have anything, I'm nobody, who am I to get there? And I'm just living this mediocre lifestyle. Once you are committed in your vision and you see, like, there's no way I'm not having that, everything will move. The Red Sea will part. You will find a way, resource after resource, opportunity after opportunity, and everything will feel aligned. Everything will feel good. And if you look in hindsight in your past, do you see that too? Do you see where the Red Sea has parted for you and made a way because you had vision, you had clarity, you knew what you wanted, and nothing was going to get in your way? I talked last week about homeschooling. I'm moving into homeschooling my boys. And this is what I mean by everybody asks me, how are you going to homeschool? Like, this is ridiculous. And my close friends and you guys are asking me, how are you going to homeschool with a full-time career? And because I don't call this a job. I love the work I do. This is my passion work. So it's not a job. My business is not a job. I've never built it that way. And so anyway, so how are you going to, homeschool? And I don't know yet, but here's what I do know. I'll find a way. Here's what I do know. I have the vision that has my boys with me. I have my reasons for why I want to homeschool right now, especially in these precious years where they're under 7, in particular, under 7. And that is my life number. So maybe that's why the number comes up for me, but really under 7. And I feel like I still have time before they're 7 to, I don't know, instill the things I wish I knew earlier on, to really bond with them, to know who they are, to come into a trusted relationship where they trust me, I trust them. I feel like we are setting the foundation for that type of relationship. And I've given this advice before in private settings to clients. And it's this, like, if you give into your maternal instincts and you trust yourself, especially like day one, day after day, you're working on those instincts, getting them super refined and clear and crisp, because you are responding to them. You are taking note of them. You are listening to them. They're going to get sharper and they're going to speak to you when you need to listen, and you'll hear it. And that is what instincts are, just sharpening those instincts, just like somebody who camps around bears and knows and understands bears and the survival techniques there. That's survival instincts. You hone and sharpen those instincts necessary for the job at hand. And right now, the job at hand for me is parenting. But I also think your maternal instincts can serve in business too. So that's this week's video on Tuesday. And I talk about that because our maternal instincts will absolutely help us in business. Just because you are a mom does not mean you cannot be an entrepreneur. And I think that's really important. If you feel like you're a mom and you have to delay, so we're taking a little side, come with me over here really fast. If you feel like you're a mom, and absolutely that comes first, but you're delaying your dreams of maybe starting a business, and you're just kind of like, you think about it all the time, and maybe the conversations around you starting a business are that you can't. Oh, I can't do that right now. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have. Or what would I even say? And there's a lot of doubt even around what you're capable of, let alone the resources that you're speaking of that you don't have enough of. Mind you, remember, resources are just the product of source. Resources are the provision of source. It's not what you believe in. You don't believe in time. You don't believe in money. You believe in source to provide all that you could ever fathom and more to supply you at whatever stage, juncture you're in, as you work toward your vision. If you believe you don't have what you don't have in order to start your business, and you're putting family first, and you're delaying your dreams and your personal ambition, you're delaying those things because no, that I'm a mom first. Well, there is a little bit of self-betrayal in that, because you're not bringing yourself fully and wholly to the table. Granted, there are times in the day that you will be totally just focused on, for me, homeschooling your kid, right? When they, or if you're not homeschooling, coming home and you being just with them to do homework, to do make dinner, or sit down and talk, or have a family meeting, or have family game night, whatever your thing is, and however frequent that is, so that the kids start to rely and look forward to those things too. Whatever you're putting into place to make your house a home, that is also taking priority. There are times in the day, pockets in the day, when all those things fit in. It is not a 24/7 gig, I promise you, and neither is business. Everything is going to ebb and flow, weave into each other seamlessly. And the more you are able to bring you out fully and wholly into your work and to your home, then all the better. I think your kids benefit from that. And then you're bringing your maternal instincts and listening in on that and honing that. And then you're also bringing just all the other instincts you have around, business and life and survival, right? And all the things, love, all the things that matter that you teach these kids happen also by you modeling them. And I do believe we we're not okay. So a couple things. I do believe that we can't be good entrepreneurs unless we're good moms. I also believe that, and that's because there's a guilt factor in there, and that when you feel like you're a good mom because you're stepping up in thought and belief and behavior as a good mom, you're embodying the energy of that, and your belief, everything is committed to you being that level of mom in your mind, right? In your thought, in your heart of hearts, you believe you are that mom. You're a good mom. Then you can be everything else. If you believe your priority is mother. Okay. So you kind of work on that, right? You kind of work on honing your maternal instincts, making sure that those really are loud and clear, because they're new. If you're a new mom, they're new. You've had the mothering nature maybe, or you've been a nurturer all your life or whatever, and you knew you'd be a mom. Well, now you are one, and it's different than having a dog. It's different than having a pet. It's different than everything. It's different than taking care of your husband. It's different having kids. And so just all that, right? Working that out so that your bond is strong, then you can be a really great entrepreneur, because you can give to yourself in other ways. And then I also believe that when we kind of make space, so if I'm going to move into this next chapter of homeschooling my kids, it's going to have an impact on how I currently run my business. That happened when I had kids. My business was uprooted and destroyed as I knew it. And I rebuilt in a way that accommodated my life. And so this as mom, and this is happening again, because now I'm choosing to homeschool. And for so many reasons, I feel like it's the route for us, at least for, the next 2 years. And, we'll see, right, as we go. Like, is this working? We loving this? Okay, let's keep going. And I believe that once I take on that commitment and charge up, right, that new commitment to, really, that's the word I want to use. When I take charge of this new commitment to homeschool my kids, I believe that, because mind, body, heart, soul, everything's going to be involved in making that work. Everything else will find its new pocket of time. Because when I uprooted, every single time I've had to uproot anything, even to travel abroad, I took my business with me on a laptop. But granted, it was different. You had to find Wi-Fi. So then you kind of are strategic with where you go in the mornings to find Wi-Fi, where you go to eat in the mornings, I should say, where you go to get your coffee, make sure they have Wi-Fi so that you can sit down and do both, have your breakfast and be tackling emails, whatever it is. And so see how it's never been lost on me that I'm creating my day every single day. I get to create my day every single day. And this is no different. Me being a mom in whatever way, shape, or form, in whatever capacity and intensity and degree to which I have my kids really under my wing 24/7, in what capacity and what means or resources or help that I have around me, it's all going to be tailored around my priority role as mom. So that's good. It's fine. It's good with me, because then I'll start to see, okay, this is my new workflow. And I've had enough experience being a business owner where I know what to apply when, right? And how to allocate my time, maybe when I work best, or I get to recognize when I'm feeling inspired and how to fit that in. It's not necessarily when I work best. I do love a morning though. I do love a morning. I love a morning for journaling, reflecting, taking my time, slow start to the day. And so who knows, I might have to wake up earlier, even earlier as a homeschool mom, even earlier than I do now, to make time for meditation, make time for journaling, make time for my hot lemon water, and be with those kinds of rituals and routines that I've become accustomed to. Or maybe I'll find them in a different slot of the day. I'll fit them in a different slot of the day, and then that starts to work for me. But see how I'm not putting my trust in the resource. I'm not putting my trust in the time of day. I'm putting my trust in my faith. I'm putting my trust in my commitment to my vision, and I'm putting my trust in source, that it will provide. God, universal divine, will provide for me and make a way in this new normal that I'm carving out for myself. And it always does. And that's the beauty. It always does. When you set up your new normal and you're starting to fill out your new flow of life, of work, and everything has to start to find its new home. Well, that's a beautiful thing. You want that. You want to be able to find a new home for all the things that you love to do if you're seeing things are like had a major overhaul. There's nothing wrong with that. I would say though, so coming back to the question, what is I want to ask Paulina these questions. What is your past say about when you're faced with this level of lack or fear or distrust as you living paycheck to paycheck, because that's a sign of that's where your head is at. What have you done to get out of it? Or have you noticed that maybe it's a cycle you still have the opportunity to break? Wherever you're at with that, as you sit with that question and you think about that, what is it telling you? Also, when you think to how you've risen up to a challenge before and you've found the resources, what is the common denominator there? I would say it's vision, right? If you had a certainty about you that there is no other way than this plan A, there is no plan B. I've heard that long ago, and I love that, because I heard long ago when I was in college that when you are committed to something, there is no plan B. There is no alternate route. You are committed to this happening, and you're detached from all the ways it could show up, but the feeling is there, right? You do tap into the feeling, the frequency of that certainty, the certainty that it's already yours. What did Wallace Wattles say? I wrote down a quote somewhere. Oh yeah, this frequency of you can always generate more. When we are in a place of lack, scarcity, limitation, and we're thinking that I'm living paycheck to paycheck, because this is a thought. If you say that you're living paycheck to paycheck, it's because you've convinced yourself you are. And so we want to recognize that the story you've been telling yourself, the narrative you're hearing in your head, is that you believe you're living paycheck to paycheck. The minute you switch that belief to something different, everything changes. If you stop saying that little thing, because here's the beauty of it. Sometimes some manifestation teachers will say that as you're paying these bills, imagine that money's coming right back to you. You're literally writing checks for yourself. Imagine that. Do that little shift. You're paying bills, and as you're writing that $1,000 check or that $120 electricity bill check, you who's writing checks anymore? But I love the analogy. We're paying bills online. I know, I get it. Or auto pay, whatever. You get it. But just can we you are paying the check. You are paying these bills, but you are seeing the money come back to you tenfold, whatever, put a number on it. This money's coming back to me. I don't care how it comes back, but it's coming back to me. That's in instant energy shift, instant frequency. The wavelength you are on is of source, because the wavelength of source is that you will always generate more. What source wants, what the infinite intelligence wants in this world is balance. And so you put out, you'll get back, right? It's kind of like we talked about, if I'm going to homeschool and I'm losing some time, but I'm putting my heart and soul into like, we're going to make this work. And I'm leading with love, and I'm leading with clarity, and following my heart and my bliss and my joy, which are these boys and is my work and all that stuff. It all is going to find a way in, right? My family, then it will all find a way in. And I'm not losing anything. That's one way that I'm seeing this so much as like an opportunity to level up, because what I want will have to make its way in. Source is going to make it fit, make it work. In fact, it's going to be so streamlined, so structured, so focused, so simple that it will fit in. Because if the time is scarce, then figure it out, because I'll be over here working on this. You tell me what's next. I'm not going to focus on the how. You know more than me. God, you know more than me. You will make a way. And I'm here for it. Tell me what, tell me when, tell me where. And in the meantime, I'll be helping my kids read. I'll be teaching my kids how to read and write words and stuff like that. This is not a lack mentality. This is an absolute faith. I just recorded a video, it drops Tuesday, where I say another Wallace Wattles quote is, your job is not, Wallace Wattles is the author of The Science of Getting Rich. Genius book. Must read. It's on audiobook on YouTube. Anyway, so okay, sorry. So Wallace says, a quote that I shared on that video is, your job is not to figure out the how. It's just to figure out the what. So what do you want? And the how will be made for you, will be figured out for you. And depending on your vision, right, your level of awareness, self-awareness, your vision of your own capacity, what you're capable of, your belief in yourself, will see, the universe will make a way within that context. If you believe you're unstoppable and everything just like, everything that you want is like a keystroke away, then the gap gets closer, right? The gap gets closed because the universe is like, oh, she's ready, but when it's faced with some resistance, like, oh, she still doesn't believe in herself here. Okay. So I can't really give her that opportunity, because she probably won't take it. She won't see that it aligns, whatever. It'll kind of give you these opportunities. One, to kind of test, is this where you're at with that? And also, I think it really tests your resolve to your vision. And so this speaks to balance. So if we backtrack to that, let me just hold on, put a little bow on that. If we focus on the how, Wallace Wattles says, if we focused on the how, when we tried to configure our own how and figure out step by step how to get to our vision fulfilled, then it's a complete lack of trust and faith in God, in source, because You're trying to put your own kind of cognitive awareness on it, your own logical brain of what you think is possible, when the reality is you don't know what's possible. There could be a new social media platform, I mean, built tomorrow, and they ask you to help run it or be on the board of directors, and you have a percentage stake in it. And that technology doesn't exist now, but in 10 years, you're a billionaire because of it, because you said yes to it, because it aligned, it felt good. It felt like, you know what? Yeah, I really love to chime in this way on this tech you have. Well, see how it was simple enough to kind of be on the board of directors. It's not like you took on a big role, but that yes made you a billionaire. There's tech billionaires made overnight. I mean, people are selling their businesses for billions of dollars right now. Okay. And that's just because it's so mainstream now. It almost feels like Kylie Jenner, right? It's younger and younger. These just creative brains that aren't letting anything stop them are becoming billionaires. They're selling Twitter, they're selling Facebook, they're selling Instagram and making billions of dollars, all because they followed their gut on something and they were like, you know what, I like this. Let's go here. Same with music and song and creating that, right? New rhythms, new beats that never existed before. You're making it now. You're being creative. You're operating in your genius. And then it's multi-platinum hit. This is what I mean by we don't know what will make you a billionaire or financially free. We don't know what, or how. So don't get lost in that. Instead, just keep the vision super clear. And when it comes to coming back to Paulina's question, what's the secret to being financially free? I do believe it's the mindset piece, the mental aspect of it, the fact that your asset is your consciousness. That's your co-creation muscle with God. You've got your conscious awareness of, or rather this identity that you're going to now be conscious of. You've got to be conscious of yourself in a new identity, which is one of being financially free. And see how that takes a consciousness, like a self-awareness, an insight, a deep insight into who you are. That's an identity. When you understand that at a soul level, at a core heart level, you are this person. You believe in this way. You operate in this way. That is an energy. That's a frequency. That's energy communicating success. So how you walk into a room is like that. And if there's any kind of timid entry into the room, then there's like a little bit of a tell on the identity doesn't match the room, right? That you aren't quite there yet. You don't feel like you measure up. And so that energy, you kind of dwarf yourself. You kind of like, oh, fall back. Not to say that you've got to be the center of attention in that room. No. You're just recognizing that you belong here. That's it. Just that you belong here. You could still observe, be quiet, go sit in the corner and, attract all attention without you even asking, lifting a finger or saying a word, and attract all the attention. That's still an energy communicating success. And this is what when you pay out money, that energy doesn't flinch, doesn't hoard money, doesn't hold back on paying a tip, doesn't hold back on ordering an extra drink because it's, that kind of night. And that's not any alcohol reference. It's just like, you know what, let's enjoy the night. And I really wanted to try this drink. Let's go. It's a mocktail or a cocktail. Who knows what? It doesn't matter. The point is that you're not limiting how you express yourself in the space of an energy you belong in, right? You're very much free flowing. And the more you give in that energy, so pay bills, give to other people, tip, charity, whatever it is, in that consciousness, the more it comes back to you. So the minute we hoard, cling, and hold on to our last dollar because we think it's all we have, then it will in fact be kind of the last we ever have, because we're going to feel that way. And like the minute we part with it, It's really gonna put stress on our identity of having enough, of being enough. It's going to stress that out because it's like, oh man, I give this up and I'm no one. I'm nothing. I'm with nothing. But we know that that's just a resource. It's just money. And so there's more. I can always generate more. I will get this back in return tenfold. Like, I'll give you my last dollar. Absolutely. Because I know there's 10 more dollars back home and it'll be just appearing on my dresser and I don't know where it came from. And I'm not going to ask questions. I'm just going to be like, thanks. Thanks, God. There's going to be a check in the mail that I can cash. That's just like, oh, well, wasn't expecting that. Thanks. Because you didn't hoard, cling to money in that way, right? You trusted something bigger than the resource. You trusted source. You know that God will provide. There's the universal law of infinite supply. If you place a demand out there, supply will follow. If you place a demand out there, supply will follow. If you're not making demands because you're clinging and hoarding and saving and wishing and scared to make a move, then that's not energy that is in circulation. That is tight, constrained ball of confusion, scared, stressed, limited energy. Nothing moves through that. It's tight and it's corroded. But open it up. Think feng shui. Open it up. Let the air flow through. Clean it out. Detach from this idea that I've got to hold onto this $1 in order to feel safe and secure. No, let that go. Detach from that idea and accept in a new idea, a new identity about who you are. And that's one of I give freely. And I don't cling and hoard to money because I know it's just energy. And if I give out energy, I get back what I give. I get back what I give. That's financial freedom. I get back what I give. I'm gonna give my last dollar because I'll generate more. In my bank account, I have $20, but I'm making sales every single day. So that's only because I was paying bills this week. And tomorrow, I'm going to make another sell and it's going to liquidate that whole bank account again. And then all my, auto pays are going to be paid off. And the 10-20% I pay myself every week, that's going to get right back and replenish into my savings fund or my vacation fund, whatever you want to call it, my emergency fund, whatever you want to call it something that is thriving, not limiting. I personally have no charge or I hold no scared feeling if I'm calling it whatever I want, but just the fact that it's like, making money, don't let it sit in a savings account, like invest it. But you know what I mean? Like that kind of windmill of energy. It's just moving the energy. Everything's flowing, everything's falling into place and allocating where it needs to go. And life is full and rich and abundant. And I have plenty to buy whatever I want. Financial freedom. This is actually a secret in my mastermind because, a mastermind, I've been in plenty. And I do believe that masterminds are so, so important to be part of, which is why I have one, because I think mompreneurs in particular, don't have the sounding board necessary to be thought partners in both motherhood and business, and then how they marry well, how they gel well, how they work together really well to make you the best at both, the best that you want to be at both. That's why I started the mastermind. But what I mean to say by that is I've been in plenty of masterminds where what the mastermind is built on is like a formula that they want to teach me. It's less about like me finding my own clarity and moving in the direction of my vision fulfilled and the opportunities, just being a magnet to the opportunities and the provision and the resources and the collaborations and all that, right? Being in that energy. And this is where my mastermind is seeking to remedy kind of where those fall short. Because we do want to embody an energy where we are leveling up in our identity because the ideas we have are not that of lack. We've let those go. So while we still have strategy and structure and simple systems, put into place. Because if you're a struggling, barely surviving mom, then it's not, and you think you can't do business. It's not because, you're just, well, I'm going to focus on just being a mom. I'm going to be a mom and be the best mom I can be and put everything else on hold. Those are moments, those are pockets of time where that's kind of the energy, but that does not have to be your whole world. If you have a dream, if you have a dream to start a business and you have a business idea that just like lights you up from within, and oh, if I just put some fire behind this, momentum will be at my back. I will have the drive forward. And once I do that, right? But right now I just want to focus on this. That's just a lack of systems. That's not you being a prudent business owner. That's not you being a present mother. That's just you lacking systems, because you can do both. And when you embody that energy of being able to do both, having the resources just fall at your feet, whatever you need, it's there. Those two combined, right? The mindset, the mental asset that you need to make anything work, be it motherhood or business, is there. And then you structure that, or you structure your business around that. Then it's like, okay, yeah, she's got something, she's onto something, she's unstoppable. That everything she wants is going to be there for her. And that's you operating as a financially free mompreneur, as a financially free entrepreneur mom. So, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to plug that, because when it feels like you don't belong, you don't have the community around you that supports you in the way that you need to be supported, it does feel very lonely. And I think nowadays we are without the village as we knew it, right? Our ancestry, our lineage knew it. And we're now in the very, I think, privileged position of curating our villages, putting in place the people that we want to really be around our kids, the energy that we want in our house, in our home, and the energy we want in our, just like when you hire for your business, that's you having the privilege of bringing and creating a culture that you want. You're hiring within a culture, you want them to fit your idea of a well-oiled machine. If they don't, then they're messing up the flow, right? It's a broken cog in the wheel. If we think of like a watch, it's not going to work if one of those gears is not moving or something's stuck in there. It's not going to tell the time. So a watch won't watch. Now, same thing goes for, home and office. However, whatever's the weakest link there, whatever is the weakest link. And I want you to think very broadly and 360 on that. Whatever's the weakest link of you operating in your best and highest as both mom and entrepreneur, you should look at that. You should look at that and see, well, what needs to change? What can I move on and out and up from and into, so that universe, God, the divine, can start to plug the holes, right? The space that I'm starting to make to have my vision fulfilled now. Be operating in this vision fulfilled, be operating in every moment feeling like, I am unstoppable. Every moment feeling financially free. Every moment thinking I have what it takes. Every moment thinking that I'm the best mom I can be. Every moment thinking I'm the best entrepreneur I can be. Every moment thinking and giving whatever I have, because I know I can generate more, right? See how that is at an absolute mindset shift away from lack, limitation, and limiting beliefs that you might currently have right now. I started a journey before the new year, last year, to catch every scarcity thought that I had, whether, it was borrowed or built. I caught myself and I was like, ooh, why are you thinking that way? No wonder. What are we going to tweak this to say instead? What are we going to tell ourselves now? What's the new self-talk here? Well, because we're not doing this anymore. And honestly, when you put your attention on that, it shifts. Your mindset shifts. You start to have more good days than bad. You start having to, and what I mean by more good days than bad is because You're not going in thinking you're at a disadvantage. You're not going into each day thinking that you don't have the capacity or the capability or the resources, because you believe in source. You believe that source is above all. And if I just do what I do, show up and bring the energy, bring the thoughts that manifest along this vision, right? Along the wavelength that will get me to my vision fulfilled, then I'm going to be there. I'm going to operate in that. And then, when things get hard and the going gets tough and you are faced with that belief that wants to come back and be like, well, see, this is when I start to think this way. Can we think this way again? No, we can't. We're not thinking that way anymore. I'm shifting it. It's that. And so then the down times, right? The really hard times can be felt, but not fixated on. They can be felt, but not made to stop you, because they don't turn into fear. They don't hold you hostage. They don't keep you stuck, because no, you've got the wavelength. You've got the new frequency that you're tuning into that's bringing you to a new level. And you honestly, in every area of your life, relationship, money, spirituality, health, wellness, all the things. I think that sums it up. Everything can fall under that. You're going to be met with kind of the challenge of, well, what do you believe here? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your health? And putting the attention on us in all aspects, thriving in relationships, thriving in finances, thriving in purpose and passion, thriving as mother, thriving as parent, thriving as child, thriving as, what else is there? A daughter of God, right? Thriving as a human being or a spiritual being having a human experience, right? You're thriving in all those areas. You're going to be met with kind of the opportunity to switch a belief and raise the frequency across the board. I call it 360-degree clarity, because you see everything, right? You see how you're operating everywhere. And when you have 360-degree clarity enough to make the mindset shifts that bring you to the different frequency, you're there. You've been upgraded. You've been upgraded, my love. You are closer and closer to enlightenment and living financially free in all areas. Because I think money is a big one. It's so big that, in this capitalistic economy, maybe for whatever reason, in this material world, money, no, I can't say that it's only money. I think when people get financially free, they start to look at health like, oh man, I've neglected my health. And so let me get a physical trainer, or let me start taking supplements again, or let me start monitoring my weight gain, weight loss, and macros and things like that. It's kind of like it happens, right? Like that way. And then, you're doing, and this isn't, I'm not saying this is typical, but I think, am I saying it's typical? I think this is kind of the evolution of the material world. So I'm going to just put it out there as my opinion. So, you kind of see that when you reach these financial heights, then you have the means to do the other stuff that you want to do. And then you realize, okay, well, I want to be healthy and live this abundant, rich life. Let me be healthy. Let me focus on my health. Then it's like, oh, okay, I'm in the best shape of my life, making all the money I want. Let's turn our attention to love and relationships. And then you start to make room for these things, because at the time, maybe those weren't as important, right? When you were focused on becoming financially free, the rest wasn't as important. Your vision was to become financially free, and whatever that meant, whatever that looked like, whatever that held within it, the opportunities, the access, the possibilities held within this idea of you being financially free held so much, right? The potential was just so rich for all things that you've wanted maybe and you put on hold are held in you, in this image of you being financially free. This is why you can't delay. You can't delay on you becoming financially free. now, because it's just a feeling. It never had anything to do with the resource, never had anything to do with this tangible dollar in your hand, always had to do with the energy you carry into any circumstance, into any situation, into any room, the energy you bring. Okay, because you'll always get that back. I'm going to wrap that up. ClarityHotline.com to submit your next question for next week. See you next Thursday, every Thursday, 12 noon Pacific, live Clarity Hotline here on Instagram and YouTube. And yeah, just want to wrap up at the hour. And I will see you next week. If you want information on the mastermind, I should probably plug that here. I'll put that in the description. And yeah, okay, see you next week. Peace. All right, peace, YouTube. Thanks for coming on.